Everyone, warm welcome to your own YouTube channel. We call it as Exam Now. I welcome you all in the next session of Finance Current Affairs. We call this series as Finance Now, where we cover the finance related updates from RBI, SEBI, as well as other regulatory bodies. If you're preparing for any of the regulatory bodies exam or any of the bank examination, this session is a must watch session, guys, because not only in the examination but also in the interview, the finance part is going to be really very important. So before we start with the discussion, may I have a reply in the comment section that I'm audible, visible, everything is fine, we are good to go, so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. May I have a reply in the comment section that I'm audible, visible, everything is fine, so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. Give me a thumbs up. Do reply in the comment section if everything is fine so that we can start without any further delay. Done. Chal. Let's get started with the discussion then. So here we go, guys. Today we have three important news, and all the three news are of different genres, and all the three news are really very important for your different exams. So let's get started and let's try to analyze each and every news which we have for today. The first news which I have for you all is that is related to RRBs. This news is basically related to RRBs. I don't know how many of you are aware of this particular news, but I would say actually the origin of this news is back in May 2026, because in May 2026 government has announced, or to be very specific, Department of Financial Services under the Ministry of Finance has announced or approved Viability Plan 2.0. As the name suggests, Viability Plan 2.0, that means it is not the first plan which has been introduced. Before this must be another plan which would have been introduced. So the answer to this particular question is, so Viability Plan 1.0 was introduced back in 2021. So if I talk about the financial year, so that is 2021-22, and this plan was introduced for 3 years, 2021-22 to 2024-25. Now after the completion of Viability Plan 1.0, now the new plan has been introduced, and this has been introduced from 2025-26 to 2027-28. 2027-28. Now the question over here is कि सर ये प्लान क्या है, किससे रिलेटेड है, क्यों रिलेटेड है, क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है, इन सारी चीजों पे आज के हम डिस्कशन में बात करेंगे. सबसे पहली चीज, वी ऑल नो अबाउट RRBs. These are the regional rural banks, and regional rural banks, these are the commercial banks as of its balance sheet, as of its profit and loss statement. But technically RRBs were set up to provide banking services in the rural areas. That is the reason majority of the branches of RRBs are allowed to be set up in rural areas only. As the name suggests, they are majorly operating in the rural areas, and these RRBs, they are set up by central government, by state government, as well as a sponsor bank. So central government holds 50% share, then we have 15% share with the state government, and 35% shareholding is with the sponsor bank. Now the question over here is, so these RRBs, they were majorly set up to provide banking services to the rural areas, and RRBs were set up with a thought that we should set up a bank with decent infrastructure. We should hire the employees from the rural areas itself, so that we can set up a banking ecosystem which has low operational cost. So that we can set up a banking system which has low operational cost, and if they have low operational cost, undoubtedly they will be accepting deposits at higher rate, they will be providing loan at lower rate in comparison to the other commercial banks like private banks or maybe the public sector banks. So this was basically the thought. This was basically the understanding. I would say this was basically the agenda behind setting up RRBs. But unfortunately, over the period of time, we have realized that they have expanded their infrastructure beyond requirement. They have paid the salaries even above the commercial banks, even above the public sector banks, due to which these banks, they have witnessed a negative profit and loss statement, which means they have witnessed loss in the past. And because of this loss, RRBs, they have been merged over the period of time, and as per the latest merger, 43 RRBs, they were merged into 28, which states one state has one RRB now, which states that one state has one RRB now. Now, what is this viability plan? Whenever we use this word viability plan, or whenever I use the word viability, this word is very important, especially it is important with respect to finance and economics. So, whenever we set up an organization, whenever we run a business, or whenever we take up any decision, whenever we have to take up any decision, this viability term is taken into consideration at most every time. This viability term is taken into consideration at most every time. Now, when somebody asks me that what is the viability, sir, viability means, I would say, ability to stay, ability to live, ability to grow, ability to develop. I repeat, viability is basically a very broad term. It can be taken into consideration as ability to work, ability to grow, ability to live, ability to develop. So that is known as viability. And whenever we identify the viability, of the project, or whenever we identify the viability of an government initiative, it is basically to understand that whether this project will grow or not, whether this project will develop or not, whether this project is viable or not, whether this project is feasible or not. And that is the reason government comes up with viability gap funding as well, where government give cash grant to some of the projects, especially the public projects, where the cost is way high in comparison to profit, or the time period to earn profit is quite long because of the gestation period. So in order to counter, or in order to support the I would say the project builders or the project creators, government comes up with a availability gap funding as well. तो availability का मतलब वही है कि कितनी ability है to work, कितनी ability है to stand, कितनी ability है to develop. So in order to develop, in order to stand, in order to push the RRBs towards development, this viability plan was introduced back in 2021-22 for 3 years till 2024-25, and now it has been relaunched as 2.0 2025-26 to 2027-28. ठीक है जी. So the revised framework builds upon the earlier availability plan which was implemented. It basically aims to make RRBs financially stronger. Financially stronger means their profit and loss statement should be strong, their operations, or it should be operationally efficient, or as well as it should be more competitive in the changing rural banking landscape. तो भैया एक पहला कि बैंक जो है इसकी जो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी है, it should increase. बैंक के जो operations है, that should be efficient, so that cost of operation should decrease. And thirdly, it should be more competitive in the current rural banking space, which is changing on daily basis, which is changing on regular basis. Remember that the first availability plan majorly focused on financial recovery of RRBs. That means कि भैया RRBs के जो losses है उसे कम किया जाए, RRB की NPS को कम किया जाए, credit expansion या credit distribution को expand किया जाए. Post recapitalization stability means if the government has invested the funds in the bank, so they should be stabilized after recapitalization. But अगर मैं बात करूं new framework की, the 2.0 framework, so the 2.0 framework emphasizes on some different aspects. It has some different targets. It talks about, और इट फोकसेस दैट आरआरबीज शुड बी सेल्फ सस्टेनेबल, कि भैया अब आरआरबीज को इतना मैच्योर बना दो, इतना कैपेबल बना दो कि वो खुद सस्टेन कर पाए. Digital banking, sir, they should be providing digital banking services, full-fledged digital banking services to their customers. They must have better governance and improved asset quality, which means NPAs obviously should fall down, banks' asset quality should increase, and banks should have projection of growth in long term. बैंक शुड हैव प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ ग्रोथ इन लॉन्ग टर्म. अब ये जो अवेलेबिलिटी प्लान 2.0 है, इट इज गोइंग टू इवैल्यूएट आरआरबीज. तो व्हाट इज इट इज गोइंग टू डू? सो इट इज गोइंग टू इवैल्यूएट का मतलब ये कहो कि स्कोर देगा आरआरबीज को on the basis of their performance, and 30 performance parameters, I repeat 30 performance parameters will be taken into consideration while giving the scoring, while evaluating the performance. और ये जो 30 हमारे performance parameters है, they are further divided into 4 pillars. So these 4 pillars include, first one, RRBs के operational excellence को check किया जाएगा. That means how RRBs have improved their productivity over the period of time, how cost efficient the RRBs are, how processes have been automated by RRBs, and overall operational performance. Second is asset quality of RRBs कि भैया RRBs के पास NPAs कितने, gross NPA कितना, net NPA कितना improve हुआ है NPA in the past, how recovery process have been improved. रिकवरी का मतलब लोन NPA होगा तो भैया वो पैसा रिकवर भी तो करना है, तो वो प्रोसेस कैसा बनाया गया, whether that process has improved or not, as well as strengthen the credit risk management initiatives. Then we have profitability. So third parameter is, or I would say the third pillar is profitability, where RRB should try to improve their financial performance and ensure that RRBs become increasingly self-sustaining. Self-sustaining का मतलब profitable है तो भैया जिंदा रहोगे, और अगर लॉस में हुए तो भैया आपको कौन बचाएगा? आपको कोई बचा पाएगा नहीं. उसके लिए हर बार आपको गवर्नमेंट के सामने जाना पड़ेगा पैसे मांगने, और हर बार गवर्नमेंट फंडिंग देगी नहीं. सो इट विल बी रियली वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू सर्वाइव इन द टफ टाइम्स, और इट विल बी रियली वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू सर्वाइव in these times. Is this point clear? So this is the third pillar, and the fourth pillar is growth. Growth means expanding quality credit. That means you should expand credit, but that should be quality credit. Quality credit का मतलब try to give secured loans, try to give loan for creating or loan for investment purposes, provide loan which leads to expansion of the economy. Then expand your deposits, customer outreach, as well as rural financial services. So these are the 4 pillars. These are the 4 pillars which include 30 performance parameters on the basis of which performance of the RRBs are going to be evaluated. ठीक है जी? Performance of the RRBs are going to be evaluated. If you ask me कि सर ये जो परफॉर्मेंस पैरामीटर्स है इनमें से कुछ एग्जांपल दे दो, सर द परफॉर्मेंस पैरामीटर एग्जांपल इंक्लूड capital to risk weighted asset ratio, we also call it as capital adequacy ratio. Then we have credit deposit ratio, then we have NPA levels, recovery performance, profitability ratios, digital adoption, implementation of government schemes, and many more. These are the major indicators which will be taken into consideration to identify कि भैया RRBs ढंग से काम कर भी रहे हैं या नहीं. So RRBs के Availability Plan 2.0 में 2 चीजें. पहला तो सर हम आपको कह रहे हैं कि you should work, we will give you the suggestions, we will give you the roadmap which you should follow, and secondly we will evaluate the RRBs, how well they are doing, how well they are performing. अब biggest change क्या हुआ है? So biggest change क्या है? पहले we have now shifted from repair and recovery approach to sustainable growth and competitiveness. So the first plan tha, that was basically repairing the RRBs, recovering the RRBs out of the tough times. And now, as we know that in the last financial year, all the RRBs, they have performed well. Now we are targeting sustainable growth and competitiveness rather than survival, because अब survival is not a point of concern. Survival is not something to be discussed upon. So under the earlier framework, RRBs were primarily required to strengthen their balance sheet. So पहले RRBs को कहा जाता था अपनी बैलेंस शीट को स्ट्रॉन्ग करो, असेट को बढ़ा लो, लाइबिलिटी को कम कर लो, एनपीएस को कम कर लो, अपने क्रेडिट ग्रोथ को इंप्रूव करो. लेकिन अब the things have been changed. Now we are saying that RRB should go for low cost deposit, यानी करंट अकाउंट, सेविंग अकाउंट में डिपॉजिट ज्यादा लो सो दैट यू कैन अर्न मोर प्रॉफिट. Now RRBs are asked to expand quality credit. Now they're asked to improve customer services. Now they're asked to compete more efficiently with the commercial banks and fintech companies like public sector banks, private banks, as well as the other fintech companies which are operating in the country. Recently in the month of July, government has also encouraged the RRBs that you should improve or you should adopt digital banking as much as you can. तो मई में तो ये पूरी स्टोरी थी जो मैं अभी तक आपको सुना रहा हूं, लेकिन जुलाई में एक और एड ऑन कर दिया कि भैया अंडर द अवेलेबिलिटी प्लान 2.0 गवर्नमेंट हैज आल्सो रिकमेंडेड द आरआरबीज टू इंक्रीज their usage, to increase their services, to increase their output in terms of digital banking as well. So RRBs have been encouraged to expand digital banking services, internet and mobile banking services, digital transactions, business correspondent networks, customer outreach through technology and digital delivery of financial services. तो ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है सर? ऑब्जेक्टिव ये नहीं है that we are only targeting to digitize the existing operations, but also to use technology to attract new customers, mobilize deposit and expand credit delivery के लिए ये इनिशिएटिव, ये टारगेट्स दिए गए. दैट वाज द रीजन कि मैंने आज इस पॉइंट को इंक्लूड किया, अदरवाइज मे की न्यूज को आज इंक्लूड करने का कोई मतलब नहीं था. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू द रिपोर्ट्स, Finance Ministry has identified the implementation of Viability Plan 2.0, the expansion of digital banking services and adoption of ease reforms are the key priorities for RRBs. तो आज की डेट में अगर हम बात करें तो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस के अकॉर्डिंग Viability Plan 2.0 plus digital services or expansion of digital services provided by RRBs and ease, that is enhanced access and service excellence, these are the three priorities which are ought to be implemented, which are ought to be fulfilled for RRBs. That is being basically said. Not only this, RRBs have been asked under Viability Plan 2.0 to improve their financial strength as well as operational health, as well as support the rural credit and government priorities by providing loan to the agriculture and allied activities, MSMEs, self-help groups and other rural and underserved sectors. So remember that the framework also monitor the effective implementation of Government of India schemes, direct benefit transfer and financial inclusion initiatives. कि भैया इतना ही नहीं, बाकी सारे काम के साथ you should be doing really very well with respect to the implementation of government schemes, direct benefit transfers as well as financial inclusion initiatives. Is this point clear? Now, एक पॉइंट था वन स्टेट वन आरआरबी. एज वी ऑल नो, नाउ द नंबर ऑफ आरआरबीज हैव बीन रिड्यूस्ड टू 28. Government now aims to leverage their larger institutional scale to create stronger, more efficient and financial sustainable rural banking institutions. तो इसमें क्या आया कि सर वन स्टेट वन आरआरबी है, तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि एक स्टेट में अगर एक ही आरआरबी है तो उस आरआरबी के ऑपरेशंस बढ़ेंगे, उसका रीच बढ़ेगा, तो उसी को सपोर्ट करना आज की डेट में अल्टीमेट एम है. सो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस इट सेज दैट कंसोलिडेशन इज एक्सपेक्टेड टू कम अप विथ, और अगर कंसोलिडेशन हुआ तो उससे फायदा क्या होगा सर? यूनिफॉर्म स्टैंडर्ड, एक स्टेट में एक बैंक, सबके स्टैंडर्ड सेम क्योंकि एक ही बैंक है, उसी की ब्रांचेस है. सेकंड इज बेटर गवर्नेंस, सेम बैंक सेम ब्रांचेस. ग्रेटर ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी क्योंकि नाउ यू आर सर्विंग मोर कस्टमर्स, you are serving more customers in the same state because there is no other RRB competing with you. Then you have stronger financial institutions and it will improve rural credit delivery. So this is going to be the benefit of one RRB, one state. What does Viability Plan 2.0 seek to achieve? Target क्या है? Sir, it targets to achieve stronger capital of RRBs. It targets to achieve better asset quality of RRBs, यानी NPA कम, बैंक की asset quality better, higher efficiency of RRBs operations, greater digital adoption by RRBs, quality credit growth and financial sustainability of RRBs so that they can be financially sound and customer centric institutions so that they can survive, they can operate and they can compete with the other commercial banks operating in the economy. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गई बात, समझ आ गया पॉइंट? बस यही कुछ पॉइंट्स है जो आपको याद रखने हैं. इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है, सीधा क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है इन डिस्क्रिप्टिव. राइट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन वायबिलिटी प्लान 2.0, या फिर एक पैराग्राफ आ सकता है और उस पैराग्राफ बेस्ड 3 से 4 क्वेश्चन आपके एग्जाम में पूछे जा सकते हैं ऑन वायबिलिटी प्लान 2.0. आई एम प्रीटी श्योर इट इज क्लियर टू यू. नाउ लेट्स ट्राई टू सॉल्व फ्यू क्वेश्चंस ऑन द सेम. द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे जाने से पहले कंक्लूजन दे देता हूं. कंक्लूजन इज nodal department will be Department of Financial Services under Ministry of Finance. Period is 2025-26 to 2027-28. RRBs 28. Performance parameters 30. Key pillars 4. That is operational excellence, asset quality, profitability and growth. Major metrics include CRAR, CD, credit deposit ratio, NPAs, recovery process, recovery efficiency, profitability, digital adoption. These are the key metrics to evaluate the RRB's performance. Major focus will be financial stability, digital transformation, efficiency. Credit focus sectors will be agriculture, MSME, self-help groups, rural sectors. Other focus areas are governance, direct benefit transfer, government scheme and financial inclusion initiatives. Broader objective is to make RRBs strong, self-sustaining and competitive in front of commercial banks. ठीक है जी, क्लियर है, आसान थी, ज्यादा रॉकेट साइंस है नहीं. आगे बढ़ता है. क्वेश्चन सुनना. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग रिफॉर्म रिड्यूस द नंबर ऑफ आरआरबीज फ्रॉम 43 to 28 इन May 2025. तो अगर हमसे कोई पूछे व्हेन डज द काउंट ऑफ आरआरबी वाज ड्रॉप्ड from 43 to 28, that means 43 RRBs, they were merged to reduce the count to 28. So the answer is, sir, it was done back in May 2025. And that initiative was called as what? So that initiative was called as One State, One RRB. That initiative was called as One State, One RRB. So answer to this particular question is going to be C option. Agla question dekho. The next question says, consider the following statement regarding the government's push for digitalization of regional rural banks. Department of Financial Services have asked RRBs to adopt end-to-end digital lending supported by eKYC and digital documentation. Yes or no? eKYC and digital documentation. The question is yes or no. Then my answer to this particular question is yes sir. बिल्कुल सही है. इसमें यही कहा गया DFS द्वारा that RRBs they should provide loan. End-to-end digital lending should be done where they will complete the KYC process electronically and they should receive the documents digitally. All RRBs have been onboarded onto the Jan Samarat portal, a government platform for digital credit. बिल्कुल सर, गवर्नमेंट एक प्लेटफॉर्म बनाया फॉर डिजिटल क्रेडिट, जन समारत. तो सारे RRBs को उस पर ऑनबोर्ड किया. दैट इज करेक्ट. अकॉर्डिंग टू नाबार्ड रूरल क्रेडिट मार्केट condition survey, more than 20% of rural household they borrow from fintech platforms. Is this point correct? No sir, this point is incorrect because less than 2% rural household they borrow from less than 2% of rural household they borrow from fintech platforms. So अभी भी rural areas में fintech platforms का उतना ज़्यादा influence नहीं बढ़ा. So keeping that in mind, what will be the answer? So the answer to this particular question is 1 and 2 are correct. That means B statement is the correct answer. B statement is the correct answer. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? News clear hogi. Viability plan 2.0 is exactly clear to you. If it is clear, just give me yes sir so that I can move on to the next news. So that I can move on to the next news. Done? Chalo. Moving on to the next news. What does the next news says? So the next news talks about public sector banks accelerate sale of NPAs ahead of RBI's ECL norms. अब ये ECL norms क्या है, सेल ऑफ NPAs क्या है, तो थोड़ा सा ये टेक्निकल टॉपिक है, थोड़े से इसमें कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं. So give me 5 minutes. Let me just explain the concepts and then we will be moving ahead. So whenever we talk about a bank provide loan, and whenever there is no principal or interest or both paid for 90 days, we call that loan as non-performing asset. Now we all know that these non-performing assets are basically the loan given by the bank, and if the loan given by the bank is not paid back or if it is not repaid back to the bank, it is a kind of situation of loss for the banks. So in order to avoid the hard times where the NPAs are turning into the loans are turning into NPA, and bank is not having the adequate funds to service its deposits, and bank may be considered under crisis, or bank may be termed as bank run. So in order to avoid all those conditions, RBI asked the bank to maintain provisioning. RBI asked the banks to perform provisioning. What is this provisioning? So provisioning basically means as bank's asset, as bank's asset, or I would say against bank's asset, risk is calculated. And when the risk is calculated for bank's asset, in order to mitigate this risk, certain provisioning, certain reserves are kept. Certain provisioning, certain reserves are kept. अब आज की डेट में क्या होता है? What is the scenario today? So the scenario today is when asset changes, when asset changes its character, when asset changes its character, then reserves are maintained. Then reserves are maintained. मतलब आज अगर आपका लोन स्टैंडर्ड एसेट है तो उसके लिए एक प्रोविजनिंग रखी गई, जैसे ही वो स्टैंडर्ड से एनपीए हुआ फिर प्रोविजनिंग इंक्रीज की गई. एनपीए में भी सब कैटेगरी है, सब स्टैंडर्ड एसेट है, प्रोविजनिंग है. सब स्टैंडर्ड से डाउटफुल में गया तो प्रोविजनिंग इंक्रीज की गई, डाउटफुल से लॉस में गया तो प्रोविजनिंग इंक्रीज की गई. व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से, सर, इट मींस रिजर्व्स आर मेंटेन्ड or reserves are increased as per asset changing its character, asset changing its category, और एनपीए और आई वुड से बैंक रिस्क इज इंक्रीजिंग. तो जैसे जैसे रिस्क इंक्रीज होगा वैसे वैसे रिजर्व्स को इंक्रीज किया जाएगा. दैट वाज डन earlier, but now RBI has come up with a new thought. Now RBI said that we are not going to use this. The provisioning will be done on the basis of expected credit loss. It will be done on the basis of expected credit loss. Expected credit loss का मतलब ये है कि सर अगर बैंक का लोन एनपीए होगा तो उसके लिए क्या प्रोविजनिंग होगी. फिर उसमें भी ये है कि सर अगर बैंक का लोन एनपीए होता है फॉर शॉर्ट टर्म, देन विल टेक दी लॉस फॉर 1 year. इफ इट इज लॉन्ग टर्म, देन विल टेक दी एंटायर लाइफ टाइम लॉस. will take the entire lifetime loss. तो अब क्या हो रहा है सर, अब we are not waiting, और RBI is not asking the banks कि wait करो when the asset will actually turn into or when the asset quality will actually deplete, then only you will maintain the reserves. No, now you will be calculating, you will be maintaining the reserves on the basis of not actual credit loss, rather on expected credit loss. So beforehand, this expected credit loss will be calculated, and against this expected pre-calculated credit loss, reserves are going to be maintained. Reserves are going to be maintained. ठीक है जी. अब इसका मतलब ये कंफर्म है कि जिस दिन से एक्सपेक्टेड क्रेडिट लॉस इंप्लीमेंट होगा, अनडाउटेडली प्रोविजनिंग रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द बैंक विल इंक्रीज. बैंक की जो प्रोविजनिंग रिक्वायरमेंट है दैट विल इंक्रीज, and especially the loan which is right now in the category of NPA, उनके लिए जो provisioning requirement है that will drastically increase. उनके लिए जो provisioning requirement है that will drastically increase, unlike the current scenario. आज के scenario में तो अगर आप substandard asset है then also the provisioning is pretty less, but in the expected credit loss, if the loan is turned into NPA, if the loan is declared as NPA, then you have to maintain the loss which is going to counter or which is going to cover the lifetime loss of that particular loan. मतलब 100% प्रोविजनिंग रखनी होगी. तो जैसे ही बैंक को समझ आई कि एक्सपेक्टेड क्रेडिट लॉस में हमारी जो प्रोविजनिंग रिक्वायरमेंट्स है दे आर गोइंग टू इंक्रीज. सो कीपिंग दैट इन माइंड, आर बैंक्स दे हैव स्टार्टेड डूइंग वन थिंग, दैट बैंक्स आर आस्क्ड बाय RBI to implement this expected credit loss and expected credit loss based provisioning maintenance from 1st April 2027. So what banks are right now doing? So banks, they are right now trying to clean their balance sheet. So what banks are doing? So banks are right now trying to clean their balance sheet. Cleaning the balance sheet means bank के जो loan NPAs हो चुके हैं, now bank is trying to recover them. to recover them so that they can be removed out of the NPA category. और अगर वो रिकवर नहीं हो सकते, सो एनपीएज आर बीइंग रिटन ऑफ। रिटन ऑफ का मतलब कि भैया अगर इसमें बदले में अब कोई पैसा मिलने वाला नहीं है तो बैंक अपने प्रॉफिट से उस लॉस को कॉम्पनसेट कर रहा है, और कॉम्पनसेट करने के बाद उसे अपनी बैलेंस शीट से राइट ऑफ कर रहा है। सो बैंक इज डूइंग whatever it can in order to clean up its balance sheet as much as it can, or in order to uh, increase, or in order to improve its asset quality as much as it can, because it is very well aware from next financial year onwards, on the basis of this asset quality and expected credit loss, provisioning is going to increase. So it's better that we should improve our asset quality in order to avoid huge provisioning burden on the bank in the near future. तो इस चीज को देखते हुए this news has been announced. So what is this news all about? So the news is very simple. It says that public sector banks are accelerating the sale of legacy. Legacy means long-term NPAs, either to asset reconstruction companies ahead of the implementation of RBI's expected credit loss provisioning framework, which is going to be implemented from 1st of April 2027. The new framework will require banks to identify potential credit losses much earlier and maintain higher provisions to reduce the burden of additional provisioning and strengthen their balance sheet. Banks are disposing of long pending stressed assets before the new norms become operational. Before the new norms become operational. The public sector banks, they have offered around 50,000 crore rupees of stressed asset for sale in the first quarter of 2026-27. This constituted the largest share of nearly 60,000 crores of stressed asset put up for sale. तो 60,000 करोड़ की जो असेट है उसे सेल पे लाया गया ताकि पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स का जो 50,000 करोड़ तक के स्ट्रेस असेट्स है उसे क्लीन किया जाए. प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स, दे कंट्रीब्यूटेड 8,000 करोड़, 2,000 करोड़ केम फ्रॉम एनबीएफसीज एंड मॉर्गेज लेंडर्स. तो 60,000 करोड़ टोटल है जो कि सेल पे लाया गया बाय द बैंक्स, जिसमें से 50,000 करोड़ बिलोंग्स टू public sector banks, 8,000 crore belongs to private banks, and 2,000 crore belong to NBFCs and other lending companies. Although the banks, they have offered large volume of NPS for sale, actual acquisition by ARCs remained lower. मतलब आपने सेल तो लगाई, banks, they are selling their NPAs, but the asset reconstruction companies, they are not buying it, they are not purchasing it. So ARCs acquired 16,000 crore rupees of bad loan in the first quarter compared to 13,000 crore in the corresponding period of the previous year. तो आपने भले 60,000 करोड़ की सेल लगाई है कि हमारा ये बैड लोन है, खरीद लो, इसको रिकवर कर लेना. ARCs ने उतनी तेजी से खरीदा नहीं है. They have only purchased around 16 or 17,000 crores. So why banks are cleaning their NPAs? I have given that answer. How banks are cleaning? I have given that answer. What will be the benefit? So selling stressed asset before new framework will help the bank to reduce future provisioning requirement burdens under the expected credit loss conditions or expected credit loss framework. It will improve the asset quality of the bank. It will strengthen the balance sheet of the bank. It will generate immediate cash flows with the bank. It will improve profitability through recoveries from written off accounts. It will increase market valuation by maintaining healthier balance sheet. तो इसमें हर तरफ से बैंक का फायदा, और वो बैंक का फायदा क्या है कि अगर बैंक अपने एनपीएस को क्या कर रहा है, अपनी बैलेंस शीट से हटा रहा है बाय एनी मींस. राइट ऑफ क्या होता है मैंने बता दिया. कंसर्न्स क्या है इन केस ऑफ एनपीए सेल में? सो फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ द ओल्ड रिटर्न ऑफ लोन्स रिमेन चैलेंजिंग. कि भैया आपका लोन है वो बहुत पुराना. अब लोन अगर बहुत पुराना है तो आज उसे किस प्राइस पे खरीदा जाए, उस फेयर वैल्यू को आइडेंटिफाई करना इज अ ग्रेट चैलेंज फॉर ARCs, फॉर द कंपनीज विच आर परचेजिंग द बैड लोन फ्रॉम द बैंक्स. सो देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी दैट सेम प्रमोटर्स मे इनडायरेक्टली रीएक्वायर स्ट्रेस्ड असेट थ्रू अदर एंटिटीज. तो ये भी हो सकता है कि सर जो प्रोमोटर्स हैं जिनका लोन था वही अपनी एसेट को दोबारा खरीद लें थ्रू अदर एंटिटीज. सो एक्सपर्ट्स दे हैव हाइलाइटेड द नीड फॉर ट्रांसपेरेंट एंड कॉम्पिटिटिव ऑक्शन प्रोसेस टू मिनिमाइज सच रिस्क. तो यहाँ पे ये भी कहा गया, मान लिया कि आप लोग अपने एनपीएस को कम कर रहे हैं, मान लिया आप अपनी बैलेंस शीट को क्लीन कर रहे हैं, बस इसका मतलब ये नहीं जिसका लोन है या जिसकी कोलैटरल है उसी पे वापस चली जाए थ्रू दिस हॉच पॉच एंड फास्ट ट्रैक ऑक्शन प्रोसेस. इट शुड नॉट बी डन. इट शुड बी well managed. It should be well checked. That is a point which has been mentioned. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गई बेसिक बात. कुछ खास है नहीं, मोटी मोटी बात थी, वो आपको समझ आ गई होगी. ट्राई टू सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन इज नाउ ऑन योर स्क्रीन. Let's try to solve the question. What does the question say? Consider the following statement regarding the sale of stressed asset by banks to asset reconstruction companies. Public sector banks accounted for 50,000 crores out of 60,000 crores total. That is correct. Private sector bank 8,000 crores. Correct. Banks sell stressed asset to ARCs mainly to avoid recognition NPAs in their books. Recognizing NPAs in their books. तो वो तो एआरसी को बेचने से आपका रिकग्नाइजेशन कम होगा, ये तो पॉइंट ठीक है, ये तो पॉइंट ठीक है. बट रिकग्नाइजेशन ऑफ एनपीए इज नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ एआरसीज और एआरसी सेल. कोई भी लोन आपका एनपीए कब होगा सर? एज पर दी आरबीआई नॉर्म्स. एज पर दी आरबीआई नॉर्म्स 90 डेज बाद अगर कोई प्रिंसिपल इंटरेस्ट नहीं आता फॉर 90 डेज, देन ओनली द लोन विल बी डिक्लेयर्ड एज एनपीए. So bank sells stress asset to ARCs mainly to avoid recognizing NPAs in their books. Recognizing NPAs in their books is not a correct term because recognition of NPA follows RBI prudential norms and cannot be avoided through such sales. तो जो आपका लोन एनपीए में चला गया वो तो एनपीए में चला गया, आपने उसको बेचकर बैलेंस शीट को क्लीन कर लिया, दैट इज ट्रू. बट लोन जो एनपीए में चला गया दैट विल बी कंसिडर्ड अंडर एनपीए ओनली. So keeping that in mind, I would go with B statement. 1 and 2 are correct. Third is wrong. So will it not decrease the profits of the current financial year by writing? हाँ बिल्कुल डिक्रीज होगा, बिल्कुल डिक्रीज होगा, ये बात आपकी ठीक है. लेकिन जो प्रॉफिट कम होने की वजह से बैंक के शेयर प्राइसेस पे फर्क पड़ेगा, वही बैंक की बैलेंस शीट क्लीन होने की वजह से उतना ही शेयर प्राइसेस बढ़ जाएंगे. तो एंड ऑफ द डे बैंक को बेनिफिट ही होगा, कोई नुकसान नहीं होगा. Done? So let's go on to the next question. The next question is your homework. So take the screenshot 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm expecting the answers from you guys in the comment section after the class. Now let's move on to the next news. The next news is RBI's notifications or RBI circular. So RBI circular is related to RBI draft amendment directions on securitization transactions 2026. तो सबसे पहली चीज, I don't cover all the drafts presented by RBI because they are not important. Draft is basically a proposal. Final amendment will be very different or it may be different, but ये amendment का draft important है. That is the reason I have included it. But what it basically means, इसका मतलब क्या है वो समझना हमारे लिए काफी ज्यादा important है. So please pay attention on the screen. Firstly, I'll just take an example. Let's suppose, guys, there is a bank named SBI. SBI has given loan to Infosys. SBI has given loan to Infosys. So now, against this loan, Infosys is liable to pay back the प्रिंसिपल एज वेल एज इंटरेस्ट. और अगर मान लो एसबीआई के इस लोन के बदले में प्रिंसिपल या इंटरेस्ट इन्फोसिस पे नहीं करता, देन इन दैट केस एसबीआई हैज द पावर टू रिकवर द लोन. इन ऑर्डर टू रिकवर द लोन, what can be done? In order to recover the loan, what can be done by the SBI? Sir, SBI can sell the Infosys asset in the market. SBI can sell the Infosys asset in the market and recover the loan. अब Infosys की asset में let's suppose there is a office of Infosys. तो भैया Infosys का पूरा ऑफिस बेच दो, पैसा रिकवर कर लो. बट यहाँ पे एक प्रॉब्लम है. प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि सर when you are selling the specific asset, it becomes difficult to sell it, it becomes difficult to market it depending upon the requirement and needs of the market. कि आपने तो कह दिया इन्फोसिस का ऑफिस ले लो, लेकिन लेगा कौन? बहुत कम बायर्स हैं. rather than what can be done, so rather than this Infosys office जो कि बैंक सेल करना चाहता है, उस Infosys office को bank will take to a company that is known as asset securitization company, and that asset securitization company will convert this asset into security. Will convert this asset into security means it will be converted into financial instruments. For example, it is converted into shares. कि भैया ये जो पूरा ऑफिस है ये 100 करोड़ का है और हमने इसको मान लो 1 करोड़ शेयर्स में बांट दिया, तो एवरी शेयर होल्डर कैन बी द पार्टनर ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑफिस एट 100 रुपीज, और फ्यूचर में दिस ऑफिस कैन बी रेंटेड आउट, एंड अगेंस्ट दैट रेंट जो रेंट पे ऑफिस दिया जाएगा, उस रेंट को फर्दर शेयर होल्डर्स में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दिया जाएगा. सो इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट विच एवरीवन कैन डू, and it's a small investment which can be easily done, and it will help the bank to recover its loan, or it will help the bank to recover its loan in a more, or I would say in a more efficient manner, rather than selling the entire asset, which is difficult to find a specific buyer, which is difficult to find a buyer who is ready to invest such a huge amount. It's better we convert that asset into security, marketable security, and that marketable security can be distributed in the market. Every investor will get a return against its investment from the asset which has been securitized, or against the asset for which the securities have been issued. ठीक है जी, स्टोरी समझ आ गई? अगर ये स्टोरी समझ आ गई तो गिव मी यस सर. अगर ये स्टोरी समझ आ गई तो गिव मी यस सर. तो उसमें क्या हुआ सर, ऑफिस बैंक ने टेक्निकली बेच भी दिया, लेकिन वो किसी एक को नहीं बेचा. ऑफिस के बदले में शेयर्स इशू किए गए, हर किसी ने शेयर परचेज किए. एवरीबडी बिकम द पार्टनर इन दैट ऑफिस, एंड एवरीबडी विल हैव अ शेयर इन द अर्निंग्स फ्रॉम दैट पर्टिकुलर asset. That could be in the form of rent, or maybe in near future it can be in the form of sale. कि भैया आज नहीं बेच रहे, आज बैंक को पैसा मिल गया, फ्यूचर में asset सिक्योरिटाइजेशन कंपनी उसे बेचे. आज जो 100 करोड़ का ऑफिस है, हो सकता है वो 150 करोड़ में बिके, तो मैंने अगर 100 रुपए इन्वेस्ट किए थे तो मुझे कितना पैसा मिला, 150 रुपए, तो 50 रुपीज मेरे लिए क्या हो गया, प्रॉफिट. अब इसी से रिलेटेड कुछ अमेंडमेंट्स हैं. द अमेंडमेंट इंट्रोड्यूस्ड अ यूनिफॉर्म फ्रेमवर्क. तो नाउ आरबीआई सेज दैट देयर इज अ यूनिफॉर्म फ्रेमवर्क for issuance and transfer of securitization notes across commercial banks, small finance banks, NBFCs, and all India financial institutes. These revised provisions will become effective from 1st of October 2026 if this draft is accepted. RBI proposed amendment. Why? To strengthen transparency, promote electronic holding of securities. Electronic matlab these securities will be issued in dematerialized form. It will be easy to circulate them. It will be easy to distribute them. It will be easy for the investor to further sell it. It will align with the formation with SEBI regulations, and it will improve investor protection and market efficiency. So इसमें क्या है? If I talk about the commercial banks, the amendments which apply to the commercial banks and except where specifically mentioned later are common to all the regulated entities. तो ये जो commercial banks की amendments है, that will be applicable on small finance banks. It will be applicable on all India financial institutes as well as NBFCs, except the situation where it is specifically mentioned. So mandatory dematerialization of securitization notes. So all the securitization notes must be issued, held and transformed only and only in electronic form, not in physical form. Physical certificates will no longer be permitted. This improved transparency, traceability and ease of transfer. ये पहली condition है, पहला amendment है. Minimum ticket size should be 1 crore. The minimum ticket size by a single investor will be 1 crore. मेरे example में 100 रुपए थे. That is not true, but actually the minimum investment should be 1 crore. This limit applies to time. This limit applies at the time of issuance and during every subsequent transfer. कि भैया चाहे तो जब इशू किया जाएगा तब, या उसके बाद भी अगर शेयर होल्डर या जिसने वो सिक्योरिटी ली है, if he or she wants to transfer it to the second party, that can also be done if the transfer is of minimum 1 CR. Ticket size refer to the investment made by one investor, not the total size of securitization issue. तो वो जो total securitization issue था हमारे एग्जाम्पल में that was 100 crores, but हमारे एग्जाम्पल में ticket size क्या था 100 rupees, but that's not allowed. Minimum ticket size is going to be 1 CR. Now, what is the responsibility of special purpose entity? So special purpose entity means the agreement between the bank and the special purpose entity must contain a clause requiring continuous compliance with 1 crore minimum ticket size. SP must ensure that future transfers also satisfy the same. तो SP मतलब ये जो मैंने कहा था यहाँ पे asset securitization company, this is a special purpose entity which has been set up for this purpose only, और उसमें भी बैंक के साथ टाई अप है कि भैया 1 करोड़ से नीचे का कोई ट्रांसफर नहीं होगा. Then revised definition of public offer. A securitization issue will be treated as a public offer. Public offer means if it is offered to the number of investors equal to or exceeding the limit specified under regulation 21 of SEBI regulations as amended from time to time. This aligns the RBI's framework with SEBI's market regulations. What is this? Please pay attention. सर ये कहता है securitization issue will be treated as public offer if it is offered to a number of investors equal to or exceeding the limit specified under regulation 21. For example, regulation 21 mein it says that you can issue the securities only to 200. If you are issuing the securities more than 200 or to more than 200 public, then we will call it as public offer if the issue size is more than 200 units. ये बस कुछ डेफिनेशंस है, ये कुछ चेंजेस है, इसके अलावा बाकी सब सेम है. बाकी क्या सेम है उससे आपको मतलब नहीं है. मोटी मोटी बात आपको समझ आ गई, चेंजेस आपको समझ आ गए, कहानी सेट है. एनबीएफसीज के केस में सर कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है. इट इज सेम एज दैट ऑफ कमर्शियल बैंक्स. ऑल इंडिया फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूट सेम एज दैट ऑफ कमर्शियल बैंक. स्मॉल फाइनेंस बैंक सेम एज दैट ऑफ कमर्शियल बैंक्स. फायदा सर ट्रांसपेरेंसी विल इंक्रीज, बेटर इन्वेस्टर प्रोटेक्शंस, improved market integrity, regulatory harmonization, uniform securitization framework and more efficient secondary market. क्योंकि अब जो आपकी securities है they are in demat form, that is dematerialized form, which can be easily traded, which can be easily circulated in the economy. Is this point clear, everybody? Is this point clear? If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir, so that we can move ahead. Done. Chalo, question solve kare. Here we have a question. The question says, consider the following statement regarding the RBI draft amendment direction on securitization transactions. The minimum ticket size refers to the total size. No, sir. The purpose of mandatory dematerialization is to improve transparency, efficiency and traceability. True. Revised framework seeks to reduce regulatory arbitrage by harmonizing the rules. Yes, sir. कि भैया सबके लिए same rule. तो भैया सबके लिए same rule, same प्रोसेस फॉलो होगा. तो जो अलग अलग रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस फॉलो करने पड़ रहे थे उस प्रॉब्लम से छुटकारा मिलेगा. देयर विल बी अ बेनिफिट इन दैट. ठीक है. आई होप इट इज करेक्ट. सो आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन इज 2 and 3 आर करेक्ट, बट द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज रॉन्ग. Here we go with the last question, which is your homework. So this is your 6th question, which you have to take it as a homework. 4th and 6th, these are the 2 questions which I have given you as a homework today. Take the screenshot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and give me the answers in the comment section once the class is complete. Don't forget to hit the like button. I hope you have enjoyed the discussion. We'll catch you in the upcoming sessions to go, and do not forget to join our Telegram channel in order to download the PDF of the session. Good luck. Bye-bye. Take care. See you soon. God bless you all.